Hello there, and welcome to this presentation where I will walk through how we can use PnP Modern Search for people search. My name is Kasper Larsen, and I am one of the contributors on the PnP Modern Search project. I'm also a senior solution architect with Fellow Mind Denmark and just freshly minted Microsoft MVP. So, what is PnP Modern Search? About 10 years ago, Microsoft decided that they would like to change what was back in the old days, something that looked like this, and they would like to update the graphic interface to something that's a bit more modern. And in the process, they kind of lost the search web parts because in the classic sites we had four web parts that we could use when we were creating new search solutions. That was the search box, search vertical, search refiner, and the search result web part, where we can customize those to fit the purposes that we were trying to fulfill. But Microsoft didn't provide any updated web parts for SharePoint Modern, so the community stepped up and provided a set of web parts which we can use today to create new search-based solution based on Microsoft Search and also SharePoint Search. So why would we use some web parts to do some search for people? If we go into our site today and we look for Adele, for instance, which is one of the people on this, and we won't see her in the library. We'll go out here and have a look. She's not shown on the site collection level, but she is shown on the tenant level, where we can see where in the people tab and also in the all tab, where we can see information about the people that is on this tenant, all the users. So, well, this should be sufficient, right? Well, not in many cases, we would really prefer to have this kind of information available elsewhere in our solution, not just out here in the top bar on the site collect. Sorry, on the tenant level. So that is the reason why we want to use people search. For instance, if we want to use it for creating a employee directory, that is one option where we have additional information that we would like to provide for our end users, and also, for instance, in this case, filters specified as per what we already have. Another option could be to use PnP Modern Search to create a department site where all of the employees is automatically shown on in one of the web parts. We don't have to do any updates because it's all based on the user profiles, which are updated from the HR system or from your Active Directory intra nowadays. Another example could be if we have additional custom properties we would like to show, like the nationality of people, perhaps an employee number, perhaps some, in this case, a security clearance level, whatever kind of specific properties that you would like to surface on the user's profile card. That kind of information, that kind of properties is not yet available in the out-of-the-box solution. So that's one of the reasons why we use PnP Modern Search. Likewise, in this case, birthdays and anniversaries, well, we have other web parts that can do that, but they are most of the time they are custom developed for that specific purpose. We don't have to develop anything here. We can just create a few search queries, and that should do the trick. So the question is, if you start looking into the options that we have with PnP Modern Search, should we use SharePoint as a search source, or should we use Microsoft Search as a source? When we're dealing with people search, the answer is not. It depends, because Microsoft Search can't provide the information we are looking for yet. It's coming, it's for sure. In this case, we have a new site created for one of our offices in this company, and they are, in this case, based out of Avignon in France. So we would really like to show the people based in Avignon on this page. So let's see if we can add some clarity to that. See, the first thing we have to do is to see if we have those web parts installed at all. We do not. How to install the web parts on the on the tenant is something that we have another video for. So I would recommend that you have a look at that one. However, in order to add the web parts to this site, in this case, we have to go into the app catalog on this one and add the PnP Modern Search version 4. That's important. We have an old version called version 3. Do not use that one. That's only for legacy. So let's add that one. Take a few seconds for that to be updated. So there it is. So back to Avignon. And let's add a web part up here. We have these as us offering. We have the search vertical, which is mostly used when we have multiple result sets to work with. The filters, the search box kind of explains itself, and the result web part is the one we need here. So when we go in here and configure this one, we have the option whether we should use SharePoint search or we should Microsoft search. In this case, when we're dealing with people search, it's SharePoint search. Down here is where we have our basic query. In this case, we just starts with just a wildcard to just see every user. In order to make sure that we'll see our user profiles, not everything else, we can change it down here in the result source select box, where we can select either SharePoint results, which is just everything but people. But what we want to see here is local people results. So if we select that and apply our template up here, we start seeing people showing up here. But it doesn't really look like what we're used to. Well, we'll come back to that. There's additional settings like how should we sort the results that we get back. We can define that on first name, last name, how many years they've been in the company, and so on and so forth. But that is not something we'll have a look at in this case. As you can see, there's a lot of options that we can use for and use for refining the experience with these web parts. But the one we want to see is on page 2, and that is which layout we want to use. We want to use the people layout. Now it starts looking like something. This one is if you want to edit the layout that we have, you can modify it and make it look to a specific according to a specific requirements. If you need to do that, that's however more advanced subject. So what we want to do here is that we want to see what's called a persona card on hover. If we turn that on, and we go over here and hover the mouse over one of these people, you see this card show up. This is all of the properties that we have available for that person, just like you see everywhere else in the solution Microsoft is providing. This is based on what's called graph. The other thing we would like to see here is that we would like to see the extra large component size. So it's even larger than what we see here. As you can see, there's a lot of them that doesn't have a profile picture yet, but we'll come back to that. These are mostly external users. These are guests, basically, but we'll filter them out later on. So up here we can connect to a search box if we had one in this case, or a filter, or another a search vertical, or we can even connect to another result web part. But that is all of more advanced stuff. So what we would like to see is how does this look when we just see it as it is here. We can see there's a lot of people and we have a opportunity to browse, and now it starts looking better because these are not guests, these are the actual members, or the users which are on this tenant. So these are the ones we want to see, not everybody else. And also, when we look at this, for instance, we can sometimes see meeting rooms and common properties that is for some reason in the user profiles. So we have a lot of people here. We would like to to filter those further, because we only want to see the people that was from Avignon. So how do we do that? Well, you have to know your data in order to filter this. So we'll go into our user profiles, which is in the admin center, and we would like to see what kind of data we have available for this one. In this case, we would like to see what we have for Adele. You can see that when it pops up that we have a lot of different properties on Adele that could serve as a filter for how to um just show the people that we are looking for. You see first name, last name, all of these properties, and you can use those to filter out or exclude people if you want to. Now we have something called office location, and that is actually in her case set to Avignon. So that is just the one we want to use. So let's go back and have a look in the search area. There we can see we have something called a search schema. A search schema is basically the description of what we have in our search results. So let's have a look. Let's see what we have for something called location. So what we have something called base office location. And it's related to people in some way. The name is SPS location. That could be the one. Let's see, base office location, right. So if we go back to our search here and see what happens if we change, we have a built-in debugger actually in the web parts, which we can use. Otherwise, there are two more tools that you can use, something called SP Editor and something called the SharePoint Search Query tool. And if you would like to know something about those, you can either look in our documentation or try to Google it. But if we go into our debug setting here and see what we can find here, base office location, nothing on that one. Nothing on that one. Well, perhaps we should start by limit our result to just what we have on Adele. We do that just by updating the search query. So now we only see the data related to Adele. Let's see what we have here. We have a job title and work phone and so on and so forth. There's a lot of data on this one. Well, we can't really see anything related to Avignon and base office location. That is most likely because we don't have that field in the dataset that we get back from the backend. This is related to these selected properties. This list of properties here is what we get back from the API. So let's see if base office location is here. It is not. Okay. And it's not even in the list, so well, we can just add it by typing. That's now it's on the list. Hey, what was that? Base office location actually just popped up, and it does have a value, the value Avignon. So perhaps if we go up here and we say, I'm looking for base office location, and it must contain the value Avignon. Contains in this query language is a colon, and then we say Avignon. Okay, let's try to apply that. Two results. Okay. Let's change from the debug to people search to see who is actually there. So it's Lee and it's Adele. Those people are the ones who are based in our office in Avignon. So that's basically it. If we publish now, we can just say up here, member. employees in Amiens, like that. So now we can see who's actually in the office, in the Avignon office, and if we get additional members of the staff in Avignon, they will automatically pop up here because this is based on the user profile data, which again is synced from perhaps on-prem AD or from the cloud AD, which is now called Entra. So this maintains itself. You don't have to update it at all. That is just one way to work with people search. Let's try another scenario. Right here we have a skills to portal where people can search for their colleagues who have particular skills. So let's try to make a search page for this purpose. So a new page, basic, so on and so forth. We'll add a new section. This 1/3 is often used because we can have our results on the right and we can have our search box and our refiner on the left. But that's just question of taste, basically. So let's go up here, say we're using SharePoint. Remember to change the source to local people results. And we want to see everything for the time being. So something is showing up and we would like to see the people layout and we would like to see the hover card and we would like to see extra large layouts. In this case, we have to go on page 3 to connect to our search box and to our refiner. So we want to connect to the search box up here. We want to use the search term used up here. So that would be from the search box. We want to use a search query and we want to use a default value. In this case, we'll just use a wildcard. We also want to connect to a filter and it can pick out which one we are talking about. So that's it. So far, so good. What we want to look for and what we want to provide over here is a refiner which will allow us to select between the various skills that people have. Skills is a property that we have on our users. For instance, in this case, this is Adele. She has a number of skills here. So she's apparently worked with marketing and campaigns earlier. So therefore, we can see those on her user property. So we know we are looking for something called skills. So let's go to manage properties in the admin center and look for skills. And if we do a search, we can see that we actually do have a property just called skills. However, it's not refinable. And it has to be refinable in order for us to work with the refiner. That's a basic requirement. So in this case, we will have to do something which you'll often have to do when you're dealing with refiners. We have to look for refinable strings and do a mapping, which basically means that we'll take the crawl property, which is also to do with skills. So let's see. I might even have made that mapping earlier. Yep, it's right here. I've made this mapped this crawl property called people SPS skills. I've mapped that to the refinable string 7, which makes it easier for us because it takes some time for that mapping to take effect. But let's just pretend that we haven't had that one, so I'll show you how to map that. We take a refinable string 118 and select that one. And we go on this page, we go down here to add a mapping. and it takes some time. These old screens are pretty slow sometimes. See, we will look for skills in the crawl property. The one we know the one we're looking for is called something to people and SPS skills. This is the one we want to map to our refinable string. So let's do that and save it. However, in this case, we were lucky that I already made that mapping prior, so we can use it right away. Otherwise, you'll have to wait for it to show up, and it can easily take up to a day. Sometimes you're lucky, it will take a couple of hours and then it's there. Otherwise, you'll have to wait for up to 24 hours. So let's have a look. Where is that new page? There we are. So we want to look for the refinable string. What was it? 107 up here. One that was already mapped to skills. Skills there. Just refinable string 07. So we will take it up here and see if that property is in the selected properties. It has to be, otherwise we can't use it for the refiner. So let's have a look. I have a lot of properties here. And nope, refinable string 07 is not here. Well, we can just add it by typing it. Like that. Now it's here, which means that it is pulled from the API. We have it available in our result source. So if we want to show it, we could do that. And it will also now be available for Refiner. In our Refiner, we go over here and have a look. We can, in this one, we have to map it back again. So this component is mapped to the Refiner. The Refiner has to be mapped to the result source as well. So like that. And then we can edit which refiners we want to have. I want to have one called skills. And the filter value that I'm using active in this case is actually the refinable string 07. I want to display that the choices that we have presented with in some way. It can be a checkbox, it can be a combo box. It depends on what fits your requirements. We can open it by default if we want to. We can do it here. We can also make it multi-selection, which means that I can select either this one or that one, and then I can set operators on it. So I can say it has to be this and this and this. Otherwise, I can also just use or. So I can combine my final search query. So let's just take it as there. But by the way, you can also sort it. So if we have a number of options available, in this case, they are sorted alphabetically, ascending. It can also be by OL property if we want to. So it shows up, which means that we have some data that is it's okay. So let's try to save this one and see. Oh, search and save it as a draft. So now we see all our users and we want to search by skills. And this is the skills that are available right now. So if I want to see anybody who knows something about PnP Modern Search Web parts, wait, how strange, that just happened to be me. And if we're looking for somebody who knows something about marketing, it will be Adele. So this is a very easy way to add our users in their quest to find the data that they are looking for. So that was two examples on how you can use PnP Modern Web Parts for people search. And if you need additional inspiration, for instance, I suggest that you visit our documentation site or our home site here, because we have a lot of different scenario tutorials over here, including, for instance, how to use people search for the various purposes, like a department finder or likewise. We also have additional information as far as if you are on the GitHub site. We can also in the discussions area, that this is a great place to look for inspiration, because there's a lot of your colleagues that have asked a question on how can I do this or that. And if the answer is not here already, because well, nobody ever asked that question yet, I suggest that you just ask us here, because we are pretty good at coming back with an answer to you, or at least a suggestion on how you can approach your current issue. And also, if you need to do something like that, and you would like to have a one-on-one session about this, we have something called the PnP Modern Search office hours, which is where you can sign up for a time slot each second week. Every second week, we offer some time for inspiration, debugging, and so on. So where we can set up a Teams meeting, and we'll try to assist you with your issue. I hope you have found this informative, and it will help you on your work with PnP Modern Search. Thank you.